What is up, guys? My name is Ryan. Thank you for tuning in to the second part of this episode. If you haven't already, check out part number 1. Pretty crazy action. Today, I promise you, we're going to be getting into some crazy hands alongside the number 1 poker player in the world, Yo Viral. He's going to put us in some miserable spots, and hopefully we can navigate our way out of them. So without further ado, let's jump into the action. We look down at a suited one-gapper on the button. It's a little loosey-goosey, but we just finished our sandwich, finished texting on our phone, and we're going to mix it up in position, and Woody tags along for the party. 3 ways to a flop of 8, deuce, 6 with 2 spades, and it don't get much better than this. We have a flush draw, middle pair, and a few ambitious backdoor straight draws. Yo Viral continues for $300. I don't see much merit to raising our pair and flush draw here. Of course, we can get a hand like, say, 10 high to fold, but I'll take my chances. We're not going to get a better hand to fold, and if we just call here, we'll have an easy decision versus just about any bet size on the turn with some showdown value and a flush draw. Yo Viral is very capable of launching some massive bluffs, so if we'll have an easy decision on this turn, I'll definitely take it against this player. And the turn is a king, which is very interesting. A much better card for his range than mine. He's going to have all the big kings, whereas I'm likely either going to be 3-betting my strongest kings pre-flop or folding my weaker ones on that board versus a C-bet into multiple opponents. Except for maybe a king-high flush draw here and there. And yo, one of the best players in Europe with over $4 million in live tournament earnings, also understanding that my range is going to be fairly capped in the situation, he begins to apply maximum pressure, firing a pot-sized bet into the middle. And this goes to show the benefit of not raising our pair and flush draw because we have a pretty straightforward decision on our turn. We can hope to hit our flush, 2 pair, trips, or be faced with an easy river decision. You know, maybe one of the best players in the world just gives up. The river is an offsuit 5, so we didn't hit our flush, we didn't hit 2 pair, and we certainly didn't hit trips, but who knows, maybe one of the top players in Europe will just reward us the pot and make our life easy, right? Wrong. He fires out a massive bet, $3,800 into a $3,700 pot, and all we've got is 3rd pair. Well, this is fun. This is very, very fun. On one hand, we can easily just fold because there are 2 cards on this board higher than our pair, and he's shown massive strength on all 3 streets. On the other hand, we can raise as a bluff because I think we can represent that connected board pretty well, and that could likely put a king into a miserable spot. Or we can just call because it doesn't look like we've got a very good hand, and he's betting a lot of cash into us, almost as if he wants a fold. Think about it this way, what does it look like we have? Most of the time, maybe an 8 at best, and he just bet more than what's in the pot. If he had a hand like ace-king or king-queen, wouldn't he want me to make a crying call with an 8, which most players in the situation will just auto-muck versus a bet that large on the river. Also, if I'm going to be calling down a player with 3rd pair in this game, it's going to be against the most capable bluffer, which Yo Viral has shown the propensity, time and time again, that he is not afraid to unload the clip with some sub-optimal holdings. So after a time chip and some moments of deliberation, weighing all 3 options, the story in my mind is just not checking out. I go with my read, make the call, and I'm absolutely elated that he had just 10 high, and our 3rd pair is going to scoop in an $11,000 pot. We were able to bluff catch and benefit a lot more because we didn't raise the flop, we didn't raise the turn, kept his bluffs in, and allowed him to blast off into the stratosphere against us.
Beneficial. He just was able to sniff it out.
And rightfully gets the shark graphic in the background.
Always, right?
Shark moment.
One of the most beautiful things in poker is that when you build out a history with a player around the table, you start to pick on what they do often, they start to pick up on what you do often, and your image that you've cultivated can start to cause some overreactions. If you're viewed as a tight player, your opponents will likely adjust by folding a lot. When you are viewed as a massive bluffer, you can start to use that to your advantage and get paid. In this hand, we open it up in middle position with a suited 8. I guess I really wanted to get invited back to the show with all the trash I was playing before we get a call from Peter, our main opponent in the first show that we played, and Tim closes the action in the big blind. A great flop for our suited wheel 8. I guess technically that's what it is. Open-ended with a backdoor flush draw on a board that typically won't connect to us. I guess that's why you play the wheel 8s, because, you know, board coverage, I guess. We fire 600 out there with the second nut low, and Peter calls, but something about the way he called caught my attention. It made me feel like he had a hand and he wanted to make a stand-in. The turn gives us top pair to go along with our open-ended straight draw, so our wheel 8 is getting a lot stronger now on this low connected board. When he checks it over to me, I'm worried about facing more aggression if I were to bet, because if he had a set, he'll likely check raise now, and it'll be really difficult for me to call down over both streets. So now that we have a weak top pair and an open-ended straight draw, I'd rather check back and allow myself to use this as a bluff catcher on the river against a player who I know is extremely capable of launching big bluffs. The river is a beautiful 6, giving me a well-disguised straight while simultaneously giving my opponent a pair. Peter checks it over to me once again, and I feel his energy hasn't changed. I still think he wants to win this hand badly, and if he wants to win this hand badly, he probably wouldn't check it over to us with complete air. I think he's got something pretty strong, and if he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if he looks us up light because of our perceived image that we've cultivated. I think a standard bet in this spot would be something around $1,000 or $1,500, but I'm not looking for the standard. I want the maximum.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure Ryguy's going to bet this, and when he gets back to Peter, it's going to be tough to call here with just a 6.
I pick all kinds of stuff to go, sir.
And as I said that,
Wow.
he snap called 3,000.
Oh.
Overbet on the river, snap called.
Wait, so what was it?
Peter's just not buying it.
I would say that was really unexpected.
Here's another one. Okay.
If you're going to take one thing away from this hand, it's understand your image and use it to your advantage. Don't just think about what you can observe about others. Think about and be mindful about the way that others are going to observe you. Once you are able to be aware of the way they view you, whether it's tight or crazy, figure out a way to maximize against that way that they're going to adjust to you. And once you've done that, you've already won. Finally, we pick up a premium after looking down at all the speculative hands we've been involved in today. The first major hand we've played that didn't involve a card below a 6. I'm not going to try to make a habit of this, but no promises. I'm here to battle. We open this one up to $200 before Lynn 3-bets to $600. Again, the graphics are a little off, but you'll just have to take my word for it here. So with suited Broadway cards, we make the call. And we hit top pair, top kicker on a jack-high board. Check it over to Lynn. She bets about 800 into a pot of 13. We make the call. The turn is at 10, which is very beneficial for my range. We can have all of the sets here that would call her 3-bet. A lot of different 2-pair combos. And I would also have a hand like King-Queen here, which would be the nut straight. And Lynn is a strong thinking player. And she knows that I'd expect her to be checking back a lot of the time with a big overpair even, like aces or kings, because of how strong my hands can be. But she goes for a big bet, firing 2,400 into a pot of about 3,000. So with all those factors measured and her placing a big bet into this type of board texture, let's see my response in real time with top pair, top kicker in this situation.
I like it.
I think I'm going to use my courtesy show here.
Okay. Just don't.
Wow. And Ryguy snap folds. What a fold.
Wow. He clearly read that Lynn was turning the nuts, basically.
That is just insane to me because we've seen Ryguy be sticky with like middle or bottom pair and be right? Facing multiple barrels, he's called with like middle or bottom pair. Here's top pair, top kicker, and folded in 2 seconds.
Yeah, he makes this incredible fold. I mean, he's just been playing really solid the whole night.
Final hand of note, we straddle this one up to $100 yet again, and see it open from Yo to 400, and a quick 3-bet from the doctor sitting directly to his left, and I peel back the beautiful 9-10 suited in position. As you will notice throughout this series, I don't like the idea of calling 3-bets, even in position. Considering that Yo opened from late position, he could be opening quite wide in the situation. Dr. H could be picking up on that and 3-betting wider than normal. And 10-9 suited is plenty playable when we're sitting over 300 big blinds deep, adjusting for our $100 straddle. So we come through with a cold 4-bet, sizing up to $3,600 with our 10 high. I assume that Dr. H wouldn't 5-bet us unless he's got exactly aces or kings, maybe queens sometimes, but he doesn't think for too long before finding the call. As far as flops go, this is not bad for us. 6-8-8 with 1 heart. I mean, we still have 10 high, which is probably by far the worst hand we'll ever have here, but we make a straight with a 7. We could pick up a lot of good turn cards to continue to barrel off on, like any heart, which would give us a flush draw, any jack or a queen, which would give us an open-ended straight draw or a double gut shot, that we could continue to barrel off on very comfortably. And as mentioned earlier, I think we would have heard from Dr. H if he had a hand like aces, kings, or queens preflop. With all those factors taken into account, 10-9 is actually a really great hand to have here because it makes it less likely for him to have a hand like pocket 9s or pocket 10s, considering we have one of each of both of those cards. So I'm only really worried about jacks or maybe queens here, but I think he's mostly going to have a hand like ace king or ace queen when he just calls my 4-bet. So we put in a 1/3 pot size bet with devious intentions on a multitude of good turn cards for us, but thankfully it doesn't come to that because after a few moments of deliberation, Dr. H finds the fold and we take down the last pot of the night, 4-bet bluffing with 10 high.
I'm in there from Rye Guy.
So when it was all said and done, played a little more than 1 in every 3 hands dealt to us, which is pretty respectable and not quite as high as our 50% VPIP last time, but an 8-handed game is certainly going to play a lot different than a 6-handed one. Into the game for about $20,000, out of the game for $46,000 for a grand total profit of $26,000 on the day. Thank you for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you like and subscribe. Drop a comment down below about a way I played a specific hand this session. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. And thank you guys for tuning in. It's not every day that you put in a cold 4-bet with 10 high and are able to steal it from ace king, but happy to get it done there. It felt like all day we were just getting garbage hand after garbage hand. The only real premium we had was ace jack suited, where he flopped top pair, top kicker, and got away from it on the turn when Lin hit the straight. And against Joe Viral, that hand when we called down with just our second to bottom pair versus pot size turn bet and a pot size river bet, I don't know, just something felt off. It felt like there was something in the water. And as I explained earlier, if there's one person in this entire game that we're going to be calling down and making these ambitious hero calls, it's going to be the most capable bluffer in the game. And without a doubt, that was Yo Viral today. So if you haven't already, please make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Let me know about a way I played a specific hand today, whether you liked it or disliked it. And as always, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you all next time.